Hi everyone, if you haven't heard by now, Virgin Galactic has planned the next big flight and it is on July the 11th, and it is going to be a massive milestone for the company. Firstly, it's going to be their first fully crewed flight, and not to mention they've added a really extraordinary bonus, and that is Richard Branson will also be flying on this flight. So yeah, like think about everything that you've been waiting for as a shareholder, and this is probably the biggest event for you, for everyone, for the company as well, because it's their first time flying, with a fully crewed flight. And also it means the minute they can complete this, it also gives them major headlines. It's a clear signal for them to go into preparations to actually think about flying customers into space. And I think that's what really gets the share price going as well. If you haven't seen the share price by now, the after hour market was up 27%. So if you were holding the share price at the high and then watching it slip down from like $55 all the way to $43, you would have felt pretty terrible. You would have hoped you kind of have sold, because you're like, oh, when was this slip going to stop? And maybe some of you did sell, and you probably don't feel great about it. But I think at this current pricing at $55, it's still an opportunity to get back in there and then watch this company fly. I think the share price is going to trend upwards all the way to that flight time. They've even got a countdown, which is pretty awesome. So 9 days, 11 hours and 27 minutes from when I'm making this video. And you just go on their website, virgingalactic.com, and then you're going to see this countdown. And I think it kind of just builds that excitement, which I think eventually it will sharpen the share price. And with this momentum, I think it's going to pass the all-time high. I think it's going to a very high share price. No certain price in mind, to be fair, but I think it's well into the 60s, 70s, possibly 80s. But that's kind of just my theory anyway. At the end of the day, like, depends on the share price. But I think if Richard Branson can fly, and he makes a successful journey, I think it's a massive boost for the share price, for the company, for space in general. So yeah, I think it's going to be a massive milestone for the company. What does the company have to say? So firstly, as they put it, test flight window for Unity 22 mission opens July the 11th. 4 mission specialists to evaluate Virgin Galactic astronaut experience. Virgin Galactic founder Richard Branson among mission specialists. So I think that's kind of what we've been waiting for. The minute Richard Branson flies, that is the major milestone that everyone's waiting for, because the minute this guy flies, it proves everything. It proves the safety, because they're not going to risk his life. It proves an experience. If Richard Branson can share his experience, which it is going to be shared of the whole world. So it is going to be the first global live stream of Virgin Galactic flight, and that's going to be extraordinary. Firstly, everyone's watching. You've got an important figure that people trust, because that's the biggest importance about going with this company. Firstly, Virgin Galactic is going to be flying people into space, which there's a perception of large risks involved. But if people watch Richard Branson fly and they go, oh, if he's willing to fly, if he comes, if he successfully flies up there, comes back down, then we kind of have the trust in that process. We have the trust in the company. And then that's going to be a major boost in terms of marketing, and also people's changing the perception of flying into space in people's minds. And then in the future, you'll probably get more bookings as well. Because currently we kind of just perceive spaceflight to be quite risky. At least that seems to be the whole perception of, like, people questioning Jeff Bezos flying into space. Why is he risking his life when potentially there could be problems? But for these two guys, they don't feel like there's a problem. They've seen the data. They don't think there's a huge risk. And they think it's going to be an extraordinary experience. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty amazing. Especially them live streaming it And I think shareholders are going to perceive this to be a very, very important milestone, and that's why I think the share price is going to act very, very well. At $43, that's a $10 billion company, but it could well be double that. It could well be a 20, even $30 billion company in the short term, just because of what they're achieving. It's hard to replicate. Like, there's very few companies that is going to replicate what Virgin Galactic is doing. Like, there's literally only 3 companies that really come to mind now, in terms of SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic. Like, everyone else is like way behind. Like, it's going to take many, many companies and many, many years before they catch up to these 3 companies. And basically, SpaceX isn't that, focused on such an experience yet. They're focused on what they're doing, which is big itself, of course. So it's really only Blue Origin and Virgin Galactic kind of going head to head, and I kind of trust Virgin Galactic to kind of be better at that experience side of things, because it's kind of what Richard Branson has been doing for a very, very long time. But we won't count Blue Origin out, but Blue Origin still has a lot to prove, of course. And it depends. And at the end of the day, like, there's such a large demand for flights to space, compared to what they can actually supply in the current short term anyway, that both these companies are just going to do really well. And I don't think they have a problem of getting business, that's for sure. So yeah, I think these companies are very, very valuable, even though they're not generating revenue. Well, not a lot anyway. I think they're generating tiny, tiny amounts of revenue. But the real revenue is when they actually fly people into space. And this is going to be a milestone. With the minute Richard Branson flies to space, I think that's the biggest milestone of, for this year, really. Because then everyone's got that perception that this is possible, that this company, it kind of de-risks the whole company by a massive, massive margin, because all of a sudden everyone's looking at this company and going, it's possible. Before that, a lot of people have the idea that the technology isn't as proven, and if the technology is not as proven, there's always risk, and with risk, people don't want to really pay that high of a pricing. But the minute you can de-risk the whole situation, which is why I think the share price is going to trend upwards closer to that flight. Even $55 is okay. Like, it's considered like high in the life of the company, because the company hasn't really gotten to that $55 mark much in the past. But now it could just be normal because there's so many milestones being announced. And yeah, like, if we look at this 9 days and 11 hours, this could definitely be a reality. So yeah, I think it's quite an extraordinary feat. So the mission includes 4 specialists. We've got Beth Moses, Chief Astronaut Instructor at Virgin Galactic; Colin Bennett, Lead Operation Engineer at Virgin Galactic. I don't quite know how to pronounce this name, but I'll Risha, I think, Vice President of Government Affairs and Research Operations; Sir Richard Branson, founder of Virgin Galactic. Branson will evaluate the private astronaut experience and will undergo the same training, preparation, and flight as Virgin Galactic's future astronauts. The company will use his observations from his flight training and space experience to enhance the journey for all future astronaut customers. So yeah, it's kind of a good kind of factor as well to have Richard Branson just come and evaluate everything. This guy has been here and done it before. He knows what he's looking for when it comes to a flight experience. And I think with his feedback, it's going to be quite valuable for the company. And I've got plenty of time before next year when they actually start launching their space flights. And the CEO has said, our next flight, the 22nd flight test for VSS Unity, and our first fully crewed flight test, is a testament to the dedication and technical brilliance of our entire team. And I'd like to extend a special thanks to our pilots and mission specialists, each of whom will be performing important work. As you know, we kind of looked at the 4 specialists. They are all from different kind of backgrounds, and they will be taking the experience from that flight to do different things in terms of how to improve the company and its processes and the experience of the passengers. And so, you know, you've got 4 important people who will be basically, you know, going on this mission that, you know, they perceive to be very, very safe. So, and that's the thing, the most important thing is safety when it comes to flights to space, and changing that perception in people's minds. There's not only is it a very, very expensive trip, but you don't want to have that perception of risk. If you've got risk and expensive, then, you know, that's going to push people away from that. But if you can take the risks away and you can have it as a safety, you know, if it's expensive but it's safe, people are fine about it. Especially, more the people that can afford it, of course. And like, I don't think it's fine for the people that can't afford it, because of course it's a massive price tag. Like, it could be as high as $500,000 to $1 million for each flight or a ticket. So yeah, I think if they can get to a point where people don't perceive that experience to be expensive, which in a way, like, space flight might not seem expensive because it's such a, you know, once in a lifetime experience, then all of a sudden maybe they can take away the idea that it's expensive. And if they can make it safe, then all of a sudden they've taken away those barriers in people's minds. Alright, so continuing, tapping into Richard Branson's expertise and long history of creating amazing customer experience will be invaluable as we work to open the wonder of space travel and create awe-inspiring journeys for our customers. And what Richard Branson had to say was, "I truly believe that space belongs to all of us. After more than 16 years of research, engineering and testing, Virgin Galactic stands at the vanguard of a new commercial space industry, which is set to open space to humankind and change the world for good. It's one thing to have a dream of making space accessible to all. It's another for an incredible team to collectively turn that dream into reality. As part of a remarkable crew of mission specialists, I am honored to help validate the journey of our future astronauts will undertake and ensure we deliver the unique customer experience people expect from Virgin." And yeah, like, just, you know, those statements from these two, you know, the CEO and founder, kind of explains to you what the whole aim is. It's all about the experience, and this test is for taking away the safety. So those 2 barriers that I'm talking about, in terms of, you know, if you can prove out a really good experience, then you take the idea that it's expensive away. And if you can prove that it's safe, then all of a sudden you take out the idea that spaceflight is risky. And that's usually, I think, 2 barriers in people's minds about why they might not want to fly on, you know, Virgin Galactic to space. But if they can take that out of the way, I think it kind of changes that perception, and kind of, you know, boosts the idea in shareholders' minds of what a valuable company this can be. Let me know what your thoughts are, of course, about what you think about the next space flight coming up. For me personally, I think it's the biggest one that is, you know, the biggest event in terms of added value for the company. And I think it will it will be, you know, shown in that share price. Yeah, and I look forward to seeing how things build up along the way. Yeah, and until then, we will see what happens next. We will watch this countdown as well. 9 days, 11 hours and 14 minutes and 43, 42 seconds, 41 seconds. So exciting time ahead. So just over a weekend, we could be seeing a massive milestone. Until then, good luck investing, everyone. And I'll see you at the next update, possibly, or maybe when I talk about a different company.